Hi, Alison here. In this video, I'll be braiding, annealing, hammering, and finally shaping a rustic 7-wire braided cuff bracelet with 14 gauge wire. I'll show you exactly how I made it. Before we get started with our braid, I just want to run through a couple of bracelets that I've made beforehand here. Start off with this little one. This is made out of a 20 gauge. I stepped that up and I did it in a 16 gauge. And this is the one we're going to be making today. It is a 14 gauge. Um, it's rustic, it's hammered. I've given a bit of texture. I think it's pretty nice. Okay, so let's continue with our braid. Let's get onto the wire. As I said earlier, we're going to be using 7 wires for this braid. It is 14 gauge. I have annealed it. It is salvaged house wire. I've left it with fire scale on. You'll see the reason behind that later on. So I've got 3 lengths of 60 centimeters here and 1 length of probably about 35. So basically we want 7 lengths of 30 centimeters. So we're going to fold those over the hook, and then this one I'm just going to use this excess wire just to fasten, tighten it up. Leave that one till last. Just thread it in here. Okay, so that gives us 6. Let's get our 7th one. So it's a pretty easy pattern. It definitely gets work hardened. We're going to have to anneal it in the process somewhere along the line. So let's get started. So what you do is you basically split your wires. You've got 3 on the left-hand side, 4 on the right-hand side, and you start off, you take your second wire on the right-hand side and you bring it up at a 90-degree angle. You then take your furthest right wire and you bring it right across, give it a little bit of a kink there, and bring it, holding it there, bring it back to join these 3 wires on the left hand side. Okay, take this wire and bring it down, give it a kink there. Our pattern will tighten up now. On the left hand side, you take your second wire on the left hand side, bring it down at a 90-degree, take your furthest wire, bring it right across, and you're going under, and bring it back and let it join these 4 wires. Hold that, kink that one back up, go to the right hand side, bring this wire up, you go over the top, bring it back to join those wires. Take that wire, kink it down. Take your second wire on the left hand side, kink it down, hold it in place, take your furthest left wire, go under, kink it into place and bring it back into the inside to those 3 wires there. Hold these wires in place and kink that back up. Second wire, kink up, over and back to join those 3 wires. Take that wire, kink it down. that wire, second wire, down, under, and back. That wire up, kink it into place, give it a tug. It's very loose, we're going to be hammering it, so don't worry about that. Okay, don't worry, it looks pretty uneven. We're going to hammer it into place. And at this stage, I think it's time to stop. I'm going to anneal this quickly. Put that there. I'm going to let that cool down a little bit. We're not going to quench. I want fire scale on that. As I said, you'll see why later. Nicely annealed. Let's carry on with our pattern. This is just a little cuff measurement. See how long we got a braid for. So much easier. Even though we have our length, I like to go a little bit further, and we've got a little bit of play. You never know. Okay, that should do the trick. We're just going to give those a little tighten them up a bit. Might twist a little bit, so just straighten it up a little. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to anneal it again, and we're going to grip the end, and we're going to stretch it. A bit of wind outside here. We want to anneal so it's a nice dull grey. Should do the trick. I'm just going to let it cool again. Right, nicely annealed, ready for us. You can either take any grips if you like. I like to take a pair of pliers, just grip it, fold it over, and then we're going to tug. Okay, the rest we're going to hammer into place. So we're going to clip this off. When you do clip it off, give it a little bit of play. Don't clip it off right to size, because as we hammer, the wires are going to splay a little bit, and you just have something to play with at the end. Okay. Damn. Right, we can start tapping, I would say. I hope you enjoy my rock. One's got to improvise. All right, I hope you can see clearly as well. If not, I might have to record this again. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to start on the sides and you're going to tap them into place. Gently, you don't want it to kink into or hammer into one of the other wires yet. That will be the final stage. So you just gently, I've just got a rubber mat here to absorb a little bit of sound. Okay, then you lie it flat and you start tapping that also gently. You do this a couple of times until you've got your pattern lined up nicely. Okay, go on to the sides again. Rotate, knock softly, hammer softly until you are satisfied that your pattern is falling into place nicely. Okay, we're going to start giving texture. I'm just using the end of this little hammer. I'm just going to knock randomly No deliberate pattern. You don't have to do both sides. You can just concentrate on one side, the outer side of your bracelet if you like. I'm just concentrating on the outside of the bracelet. Okay, it depends how much texture you would like. I'm going to go for a bit more texture on the outsides here. It's still soft enough. You don't have to anneal it again. Well, this one doesn't have to be annealed again. Okay, once you've got your texture hammered in, finally do the sides, knock them in evenly, line them up. Okay, you can give more texture, you can give less, just how you feel. We're going to leave that one just as it is now, and we're going to start finishing this off. So a little gremlin crept in. The video wasn't on record, so basically what I did was I took the file and the textured side, I basically just went over there quite lightly. Obviously I'm not going to do as much now because it's already almost done, but you get the idea. To briefly run over the textured side. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to get some sandpaper, and we're going to sand. I think that's enough of this coarser sandpaper. We're going to go on to a fine sandpaper now. Let's get it out the way. Some water. And I'm just using 800 wet. And I'm going to sand this until I'm quite satisfied that there are no sharp ends and it's nice and smooth. We're going to prepare for our finishing off of the cuffs. So clip it down to size, and we're going to, I think we're going to solder this one. It's quite a robust bracelet, so let's do a bit of soldering. Methods are rather unorthodox, so enjoy or bear with me. I'm just using the solder that I use on my copper pipe projects. Just nip a piece off and flatten it a little bit. I've applied flux to this. I want a nice little sharp flame, and the wind's blowing a little bit, but let's see how we go. So I'm going to heat that area in front of it. I want the resin in that to run to the front of the bracelet. And into that area to catch all the wires. Okay, there we go. Without, it's caught just where I want it, without letting the solder leach too far. Cut your heat so that we'll just trim off and file nicely. The other side, some flux. I think I'll be a jeweler's nightmare if they had to watch me. Okay, let's go. Heat in front. Okay, cut your heat. That we're going to trim off again and file. Okay, let me file these off. Okay, looks like I caught all the wires. I'm going to just grab some smooth sandpaper and finish them off finally, and then we can start bending. There we go, that's all you need. And there you have it. Now if we compare that to the previous one that I made, you can see that this pattern is not as compressed as I did on this side, and I have not got as much texture on this one either. So that is just up to you whether you want a more textured one, a more compact one. You just carry on and feel your way through it. Maintenance, I just want to give you a little tip there. If you remember, I said something about the fire scale, keeping the fire scale. If you find the fire scale is too dark in the lower areas, just get a soft brush and just give it a little slight little brush just to lighten it up slightly. So you still want to see that darkness on the lower lying areas, and then the raised areas are nice and shiny. Maintenance, as I was saying, we going to take a little buffing pad here. So all you do is when this gets a little bit tarnished and dull looking, give a little buff. Well, I'm not going to buff the whole thing now, but I just want to give you an idea. Um, there we go. So that's all it needs. Well, I've enjoyed this tutorial and enjoyed making this bracelet. I hope you have fun making it. Let me know in the comments if you do make it and how you found it. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, folks.